Hello and welcome back to the Pop-Up Podcast here at When Words Collide 2025. I am here with
Suzy Vadori.
How are you today, Suzy?
I'm great. Thanks for grabbing me.
Oh, my pleasure. What a nice coincidence you happen to sit right beside me where I'm set up.
I know.
So you just came from a presentation. I'm assuming it was about some stuff that you've worked on.
Yeah, absolutely.
So would you mind kind of telling anyone listening some of the stuff that you've worked on if they don't know who you are?
Yeah, so I'm a writer, I'm an editor, and I'm also a book coach.
Okay.
And the talk that I just gave was 30 ways to promote your book. So I like to support, I am a writer myself. I've tried so many things. I was a business executive for 20 years before quitting to do all things writing. So I have a ton of business experience, and I've tried so many things. So the 30 ways were all things I've done.
Okay.
And my biggest advice to writers out there is don't do them all. Don't get overwhelmed. Pick something that you like. Pick something that resonates with you. Be creative and, pick something that you can show up for consistently. And that's how to do it.
And I'm assuming those 30 things, they helped you kind of break into the writing world?
Well, some of them did and some of them didn't. Some of them made me really tired, to be honest. But there's two things that I do. I actually have a podcast myself.
Oh,
I
wonderful.
also have a weekly newsletter that has over 10,000 subscribers. So for
fantastic.
So for me, those are the two things that I do every single week, and I show up consistently, and that's what works for me.
Yeah, consistency is important with this kind of thing.
Absolutely.
When it comes to your writing, is there a typical genre that you usually stick to?
I write YA fantasy, which I love to geek out about magic, but I actually coach writers in all kinds of genres in both fiction and nonfiction.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like you said, you had left your original job to get into writing. When you had started kind of dipping your toes into that world, what was the first thing you kind of leapt onto? What was your first project that let you say, I am a writer?
So my very first book I wrote on maternity leave with my third child, and she is 14 now.
Okay.
And that was a YA fantasy called The Fountain. It turned into a 3-book series.
Okay.
And it's been 3 times nominated now for an Aurora Award. I haven't won it yet, but I'm still chasing it. But the thing about that series is I never thought I would leave my day job. I actually thought that I would just write books on the side and keep my job. But it got to the point after book 2 was published and I started to being asked to teach and speak and write and do all these things. Yeah. And we had this come to whatever moment in 2018 where my husband and we both used to travel. I traveled internationally. I was managing factories in China at the time.
Okay.
And we had this comparing our schedules in April of 2018. And I said, okay, hear me out. I need to take 7 days off my career. I was a vice president at a company at the time, and I said I'm going to take 7 vacation days and go do author stuff.
Okay.
He was like, no, you're not. Where's your life, right?
Yeah.
Something's got to give. And I'm like, day job's got to give. He's like, not day job. So it took a beat, but we figured it out. And I had no intention of being a starving artist, which was his nightmare.
Yeah.
And so I actually ended up, the first couple of years prior to the pandemic, I was out there flogging my books, right? I was doing touring in schools and speaking and doing events and things like that. And then once 2020 hit, I had to kind of pivot a little bit. I'd been doing some editing. I'd been coaching some writers who'd asked me to help them. I leaned into that really hard. I started a book coaching business. I now work on over 50 books a year. I work with more than 1,000 writers a year and get their books out into the world. And it's so fun.
Well, that's admirable.
Yeah.
So when you had kind of gotten into it, like you said, you usually work with fantasy. Would you say you have a main inspiration that you kind of pulled from when you're getting?
Yeah, The Fountain was all about, honestly, being a parent, and that's boring to say. I promise the books aren't preachy, but it was this moment when I had 3 kids, and I was like, wow, I could actually make their world really easy and give them everything that they want, but then I'm going to have spoiled brats, and so it's this balance, right? How do I not spoil them? And so the germ of the idea around the Fountain series was about, what if this well-meaning founder of this really cool school that they go to is a really old school called St. Augustus, what if he planted a magical fountain and students could wish and get anything? And talking with people early on, they're like, well, what are the limits of your magic system? What can't they wish for? And I was like, nothing. They can literally wish for anything. And so there is a limit. You have to read the book to find out what it is, but that isn't the limit. But they can literally rewrite history, and they can change things, and they can do anything they want. But the thing is kids are kind of not that bright.
Yeah.
And so they don't, right? And some people some of the kids make life-altering wishes, or
as
that alters the universe, and some of them wish for really stupid things. So, as they do. So it was a lot of fun to write.
That sounds great. I'm interested now.
Yeah,
got a good hook. That book is a very good hook. And you had mentioned before we started recording that this is your first When Words Collide.
Oh, it's not actually
is
my
it?
first.
Oh.
I just wasn't here last year.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Excuse me then.
That's okay.
How many have you been to?
So I started coming to When Words Collide in 2013.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I was part of the organizing committee for 10 years. And then, and I just wasn't able to make last year. So I was saying I wasn't.
Yes. Okay.
Podcast, I wasn't here. But it's actually this amazing community. It's like coming home for me. It's where I met, my first publisher. It's where I met my agent. It's where everything happened. So if you're out there listening and you're here at When Words Collide, number one, come and find me, because I will talk to you and geek out with you about your books and about what you can do with them. I love having that conversation, but also make sure that you're spending moments between, right? Come to the presentation, sure, but make sure that you're reaching out and talking to people, because you don't know what doors it's going to open and what's going to happen, and this conference is magic.
Networking is more important by the day.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
hard to avoid.
Absolutely.
I know you gave some presentations. Are there any presentations that you are hoping to see throughout the weekend?
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to be going to a lot of my colleagues' presentations. At 4 o'clock, I'm going to be going to listen to Shannon Allen. Is it the Library Tropes one, Shannon? She's sitting here with me. We're going to Library Tropes. So yes, I'm vowing to do some programming this time around.
Right.
I don't always make it to all the programming because I get stopped in the hallway, and like I said, the times between so important.
Yeah. I'm kind of stuck in that latter half because I'm not going anywhere quick, as you can tell. But from what I've seen, a lot of fun stuff going on. When Words Collide, really special event. Just from a glance, you can tell there's a lot of passion within these walls. From everyone from the presenters to just your average attendee to even just the registration people. They're all super happy to be here. And would you say, in your time that you've spent writing and coming to When Words Collide, because like you said, you've been coming for a while, was there ever a moment that made you stop and like, okay, this was definitely the right choice for me, getting into writing?
Every moment getting into writing. I mean, that moment in 2018 when it was actually at a different conference. It was at a Young Writers Conference, which I used to do a lot of. There aren't that many left in Alberta now, post-pandemic, but... Yeah. Prior to that, I did a lot of them. It's just, running into people that I'd met here or elsewhere and being their peer and being their equal. It's like just amazing to me, because when I was starting, I had this dream to write a book. I probably wasn't very good at it. It took me 4.5 years or 4 years to write it, 2.5 more to publish it, that very first book. So as you can imagine, being here as a presenter and being here and being able to give back to the people who helped me is just like a phenomenal experience.
Yeah. Well, that's absolutely wonderful. And, thanks again for sitting down with me.
Thanks for grabbing me. I love this pop-up podcast.
Yeah,
it's awesome. Your setup is so cool. I wish the listeners could see it.
Oh, yes.
I hope we can post some pictures of it.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like super pro.
Yeah, actually, in an hour or so, I'll be walking around with a videographer. Actually, we'll be getting some video interviews here and there. So
very cool.
Yeah, for sure. But thank you so much. Again, if you're here at When Words Collide, make sure you go check out some of Suzy's work. And thank you so much again. Before we go, if anyone listening wants to read what you've written or hear some of your tips, where could they find you?
You can find me on my website, which is www.suzyvadori.com. That's SUZY, as in Victor, ADORI, just because nobody can spell my name. So you can find me there. And if you're at When Words Collide, then my books are being sold at the Owl's Nest table.
Well, fantastic. Thank you so much, Suzy, for talking with me. And to anyone listening, stay tuned for more Pop-Up Podcast at When Words Collide.